Some of you feel nervous, you may have butterflies in your stomach when you have standardized tests. I know I do. When I took the SAT, I was nervous, I felt unprepared, I was tired, and that resulted in me not having a great score. I would look at the passage, read a sentence, and I'd have to reread it over and over again because I just could not retain what was going on. I did not break 1,000 on the SAT, which is really bad and kind of embarrassing. But I got the full merit scholarship that USI provides, and I got accepted into college, so I think I'll be alright with that. I believe that standardized testing should not be a final determinator on whether a student gets into college or they get money. I would like to invite you to listen to my ideas and my claims and to hear what I have to say. So first, I would like to talk about my map. My problem is, again, that these tests have too much power. A solution I have is an appeal solution and a more support for students solution. I'll talk about those both later. And then I will give you a visualization of the England placement tests, which are also called the A levels, which are equal to our SAT and ACT scores. First, I would like to explain why these tests cannot measure student ability and why it leads to students having stress and why they do bad. So my first quote is, "Students have other characteristics that they cannot show on these tests." This is from the Future Ready Schools from the 13th of March, and this was from, I do not have his name right now, but I will get back to you on that. And then I have another quote that says, this is from a teacher, and it says, "Teachers provide lack of instruction, and the student suffers and takes the penalty." This is from Dr. Nathaniel von der Embus, and he was from The Influence of Fear, and he is a professor. And this is a very bold statement, but if the student isn't prepared for these tests, that may bring stress and anxiety. And that lack of instruction, instead of the teachers taking the penalty, because ultimately standardized tests are there to help us see about the teachers, the student takes the penalty if they do a bad job. Okay. So, another dissatisfied claim that I would like to talk about is students had a 15% more cortisol in their systems in the homeroom period before a standardized test compared to no test. This is from Jeremy Draw, The Influence of Fear, March 2015, and he is also a research educator. Now, this means that when students are going in, they may not know the material and then they're already feeling more stressed, more anxious than before. And then also, on average, teachers estimate spending 14 days preparing students for state-mandated exams and then 12 days for district-mandated exams. This is from Eric Roblin, the Education Writers Association, on the 3rd of June in 2016. So, the students are stressed already, right? Keep that in mind. The teachers only spend a certain amount of time actually preparing the students for these tests. The teachers have their own curriculum for the state that they have to give. They don't have a lot of time to be giving them this extra information. So a lot of it gets rushed through just to be done, and the students don't actually retain that. They just do whatever in class and they forget. And then by the time the test comes, they don't know what they're doing, or they're just taking material from other classes. For my visualization, I would like to talk about the England placement tests. So I got my information from the University of Oxford and Bellarmine College. How do UK A levels work? This is Samantha Smith. She was 18 years old and is a student in England. When COVID happened, the tests were unable to occur. So basically what their education system decided to do was they took the pre-test, it would be our PSAT, and they said, okay, this is going to be their score because they were unable to take it. And so what this led to was that students got really bad scores and they weren't able to get the scores that they needed to get into the colleges. So this is Samantha Smith's story. She had a long harbored concerns that the system would affect disadvantaged students more. Her fears were confirmed, she said. When she received scores far lower than she had expected, it was crazy, she said. It felt like a reminder of my place, and it felt as though It was a way of the exam board saying your postcode is more important than your potential. Those grades have left her feeling ineligible for any of the law programs she had began in the fall. So she was unable to attend her law school because she didn't get the score needed, because she took the pretest thinking, oh, it's just a pretest, I'll have time to improve, I'll have time to learn. Maybe she didn't take it as seriously, but the education system took that score as her real score. So this is my summary. Tests ultimately cause student stress, and they cannot measure student ability. The changes we want are that standardized tests shouldn't hold this power, and so I would like to encourage you, the audience, as well as myself, to write appeals to the Indiana Board of Education and eventually getting into the National Board of Education to change this. Maybe we still give these tests because it's an important measure for taxes and for teachers, but they don't hold this because, one, the appeal option, students need to have an appeal to write saying that, okay, maybe you didn't get the score, but I can still get in. Or B, the second option, which is also important, that students have more of a support system. And even though I'm an honors kid, maybe I'm not provided that support, but that is brought in, so if I have test anxiety, I can have that as an option. Although standardized tests provide important information, they should not be a barrier of success. Thank you.